In a world of superpowered individuals, our current systems would be severely tested and likely found wanting. Picture this. The law enforcement agencies, the very pillars of peace and order, would find themselves in a precarious position. Police officers trained to handle conventional threats would be grossly ill-equipped to deal with individuals capable of bending steel or summoning fire from thin air. The trusty handcuffs and tasers would stand no chance against a person who could turn invisible or teleport at will. And what of our military forces? Soldiers, tanks, aircraft, all would be dwarfed by the might of superhuman abilities. Traditional weapons and tactics honed over centuries of warfare would become obsolete against those who can deflect bullets or manipulate minds. The battlefield would no longer be defined by strategy and resources, but by the whims and caprices of superpowered individuals. This sudden shift in power dynamics would have profound implications. Our society, as we know it, is built on the understanding of human limitations. We have rules and regulations, checks and balances, all designed to work within the confines of what we perceive as humanly possible. But what happens when those limits are shattered? Imagine a world where the frailty of human body is no longer a constraint, where the laws of physics are mere suggestions, to be dismissed at whim. In such a world, the very concept of law and order would be turned on its head. What use is a speed limit to someone who can fly faster than sound? How do you prosecute a person who can manipulate memories or alter reality? When everyone is super, the very fabric of society could come undone. The constructs we've built, systems of governance, law enforcement, social norms, all could be swept away in the face of overwhelming power. And as they crumble, we might find ourselves standing on the precipice of anarchy, staring into the abyss of a world that has lost its sense of balance and order. In the ensuing chaos, the stage is set for the rise of a new kind of ruler. Picture this: individuals with a thirst for power, now gifted with superhuman abilities, the strength to crumble cities, the speed to control territories, the power to bend minds to their will. What once required armies and vast resources now lies at their fingertips. In such a world, might makes right, and the strongest among us become the law. But what of those with lesser powers, or none at all? They become subjects, their fates dictated by the whims of the superpowered tyrants. These rulers, unopposed and unchecked, could establish reigns of terror. The world as we know it replaced by a dystopia shaped by fear and absolute power. Democracy, freedom, equality, these ideals could crumble under the weight of this new order. And with great power comes the potential for great tyranny. Superpowers aren't just about strength and speed. What if you could see through walls or read minds? Picture this: a world where every whisper can be heard, every secret seen, and every thought read. Suddenly, the curtains of privacy we've taken for granted are pulled away, revealing a stage where every action is visible, every word audible, and every thought laid bare. In such a world, there would be no room for secrets. The intimate moments we cherish, the personal thoughts we hold dear, the private conversations we value, all would be exposed to the prying eyes and ears of superpowered beings. Trust, a fundamental cornerstone of human relationships, would crumble under the weight of constant scrutiny. This isn't just about individuals knowing your favorite color or what you had for breakfast. This is about the erosion of personal liberty, the invasion of your mental sanctum. In a world of superpowers, privacy could become a thing of the past. Superpowers might not just change the world around us, but could change us as well. In a world where everyone suddenly gains superhuman abilities, we find ourselves confronting a profound question. What happens to our humanity when we are no longer simply human? As we begin to wield powers beyond our wildest dreams, we risk losing touch with the very essence of what makes us human. Consider this. As humans, we are defined by our limitations as much as our capabilities. Our struggles, our triumphs, our failures, they all stem from our human frailty. It's our vulnerability that fosters empathy, our shared experiences that create connection, and our collective compassion that builds communities. But in a world teeming with superhumans, these values could fade into oblivion. When we're able to fly, teleport, or manipulate matter at will, the world becomes less about us as a collective and more about us as individuals. With superpowers, we might stop seeing the value in collective action, in teamwork, in community. We might forget the importance of depending on one another, of asking for help, of offering support. Imagine the loneliness inherent in omnipotence, the isolation of invulnerability, the alienation of immortality. No longer bound by shared human experiences, we would find ourselves adrift in a sea of power, alone and disconnected. Our human bonds could easily be severed, replaced by a cold detachment fueled by self-interest and unchecked power. Moreover, our newfound abilities could distort our moral compass. Without the fear of consequences, without the need for cooperation, we might disregard the principles of fairness and justice. The lines between right and wrong could blur, and we might lose sight of our ethical obligations to one another and to the world at large. In essence, the horror of superpowered humanity lies not just in the physical destruction that could ensue, but in the erosion of the human spirit, the loss of our shared experiences, our shared struggles, and our shared victories. With great power comes the risk of losing what makes us human. But perhaps it's in recognizing this risk that we find the true strength of our humanity. Superpowers could also pose a threat to the world around us. Let's take a moment to contemplate the fragile balance of our ecosystem. It thrives on a delicate equilibrium, a dance between species and their environments, each playing their role to sustain life as we know it. Now, imagine injecting superpowers into this equation. A man with the ability to manipulate weather could, in a moment of anger or carelessness, trigger a hurricane. A woman able to accelerate plant growth might inadvertently introduce a non-native species that outcompetes and devastates local flora. A child endowed with the power to communicate with animals could disrupt migratory patterns or breeding cycles, leading to population imbalances. In essence, superpowered humans could become catalysts for environmental disasters or even mass extinctions. Our good intentions or mere accidents could ripple through the ecosystem, causing irreparable damage. With superpowers, we could unintentionally tip the balance of our natural world. While the fantasy of superpowers is enticing, the reality could be far more nightmarish. We've journeyed through a world where every human being is suddenly imbued with superhuman abilities, a world where the initial wonder and joy swiftly descends into chaos and fear, a world where society's very fabric unravels and tyranny rises from the ashes, a place where privacy becomes a forgotten concept and the essence of our humanity risks erosion in the face of overwhelming power. Furthermore, we've seen how this new order threatens the delicate balance of life on Earth itself. It's a grim picture indeed, one that underscores the importance of responsibility, moral integrity, and our own limitations.